The more virgin our eyes are, the more we have to say. The most detestable habit in all modern cinema is the homage. I don't want to see another goddamn homage in anybody's movie. There are enough of them which are unconscious.
So this story starts in June 2018 when the director Scott Derrickson announced he would not be returning to direct the extreme reshoots of a project he'd been attached to since May of 2017, a television pilot starring Tony Award winner Daveed Diggs and Academy Award winner Jennifer Connelly, based on the 2013 English-language Korean dystopian climate change thriller film Snowpiercer. This departure would occur following the removal of the series' original showrunner, Josh Friedman, in January of that year, signifying the radical overhaul of a project that had been in development hell since 2015. Derrickson would go on Twitter to say,
"The 72-page Snowpiercer TV pilot script by Josh Friedman is the best I've ever read. The feature-length pilot I made from that script may be my best work. The new showrunner has a radically different vision for the show. I'm foregoing my option to direct the extreme reshoots."
After this announcement, the British director James Hawes would go on to direct a new pilot of the series, First the Weather Changed, that would begin filming in British Columbia in August of 2018. During all of this, something unexpected occurred. I would release a fan theory comparing the original 2013 English-language Korean dystopia climate change thriller film Snowpiercer to the 1971 classic family musical Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It would reach the top of Reddit and end with the phrase,
"Tweet at Chris Evans. Make him admit that Snowpiercer is a sequel to Willy Wonka. If he says it, it's canon, because that's totally how this stuff works."
Now, this video occurred without the knowledge of anyone involved in the film or TV show. No one was supposed to be making anything related to Snowpiercer for another few years. The popularity of this fan theory was genuinely unprecedented, and these two films are now something millions of people associate with each other. How are they going to handle this? Then in December of 2019, a user/apologetic kid posts on the Mandela Effect subreddit that during a 24-hour Christmas story marathon, TBS airs a commercial for its sister channel's new upcoming series, Snowpiercer, with a cover of Pure Imagination in the background.
Snowpiercer's an art. It's beautiful.
They remark how they thought it was cool that they played up the fan theory. Then on March 29th, 2021, this moment would air on TNT to an audience of around 875,000, when the character of Mr. Wilford, played by Sean Bean, would dress up in a top hat in a weird creepy carnival and hand out golden tickets.
What an edge! Wonderful.
And I guess, well, this actually kinda bothered me, and in 2024, I thought I'd finally make a video explaining why. Hi, my name is Luke, and I run a channel called Rhino Stew. Welcome to a world of creative imitation. Alright, so to give all this some context, I started my channel as a hub for my narrative and sketch work, but the thing I made that blew up the most was this fan theory, which was something I never expected to take off and whose reception still moves me to this day. It has inspired fan follow-ups, some essays, and even a feature-length fan edit of Snowpiercer that used Willy Wonka music to better synchronize the two movies.
All past revolutions have failed because they couldn't take the engine.
What do you say?
This time we take the engine.
Then what?
We kill him. Wilford.
And it warms my heart that after all of these years, there are people that still enjoy it. And why I was also surprised when I found out that the Snowpiercer TV series alluded to my fan theory as a set piece in their season 2 finale.
On the Snowpiercer 2-hour season finale event.
Now, I was somewhat taken aback by this, because I always thought my video was rather sweet and adorable, and I always failed to see how that translated to weird, creepy puppet carnival. But hey, I guess you guys do you, it's a fan theory, you can do what you want with it. But it left me one question that I will admit has been nagging at me. Did the Snowpiercer TV show in fact copy me? And was this reference they made an homage or a ripoff? I know, sounds like a weird kind of gripe, but hear me out. Let's say that there are 3 forms of creative imitation and reference: homage, parody, and ripping off. Homage means respect, and it is by very definition a tribute. It is referencing another creator's work in a manner similar to covering a song or a pastiche, and it is a tradition done most prolifically by Quentin Tarantino. When it's an allusion made implicitly, it is an homage, and when it is made explicitly,
Let me tell you what Like a Virgin is about. It's all about a girl who digs a guy with a big dick.
It is a shout-out. And then, of course, there is parody, when one borrows elements of a work to poke fun at or comment on it. The most prolific executor of parody, of course, being Weird Al Yankovic. And while a parody is often done to mock the source material, when well executed, it can also be seen as a form of tribute. However, on the flip side, you have rotten parodies, works that imitate others in a crude, mocking, or rude way that don't demonstrate respect or understanding of the source material. These are disrespectful and can be extremely offensive. And then there's ripping off, which is just trying to pass off or imitate someone else's idea in an attempt to profit from it. Now, all these feel very cut and dry. I would like to make the argument that the sketchiest form of these imitations is actually homage. Because unlike parody, homage is not even protected by fair use. It is, in essence, doing someone else's idea because you think it's neat, but poetic license is granted because it's considered a form of flattery. Even Tarantino famously admitted in Empire magazine he steals his best ideas.
This Hong Kong movie, City on Fire, if you've ever seen City on Fire, it's very, very different from my movie. The section that they say I took, I did take from it, all right? Absolutely I took from it.
And by and large, homages are harmless and really silly. It's doing the Akira slide because the Akira slide is fun. But as a counterpoint, if it isn't actually flattery, and the gratitude isn't sincere, if it's just a reference, and the recipient doesn't actually feel honored, is it any different than ripping off? Because I actually think there's some misconception around homage, and while they can be wonderful and the overwhelming amount of time they are properly executed and performed respectfully, there have been cases in history where they haven't. And a lot of these instances that have been regarded as tributes had long-lasting consequences and harmful fallout for the subjects that they were trying to honor. It is possible to make a bad faith homage. But what makes the concept somewhat insidious and tricky to debunk, because while ripping off is an intentional effort, a bad homage is never viewed as an offense by those who perpetrate them. Everyone who ever makes a reference thinks they're doing the Akira slide, when in reality they could be crashing the bike. So when is it copying creatively, and when is it copying creativity? Well, the ethics and power dynamics of homage is a conversation I'm oddly qualified to discuss. In my case, I have been both. I have been literally plagiarized, and I have been figuratively homaged. And unless you have made something that other people have tried to copy, it's difficult to explain why one of these can feel more hurtful and exploitative than the other, especially when it comes to the power dynamics of copyrighted commercial properties and unauthorized fan work. So in this 2-part video essay, I will be presenting several case studies of various examples of homage in pop culture. The first will be a look back at the power dynamics of homage in authorized and unauthorized media. And in the second, I will be discussing the Snowpiercer series and my instance in particular. So if you like horror movies, lost media, and the phrase lost horror episode interest you, I strongly recommend coming back for that one. Because by the time we finish our journey through the tunnel of terrible tributes, awful illusions, and shitty shoutouts, I will hope to pull back the curtain on the concept of homage and show how sometimes stealing an idea is just stealing an idea. How doing something as innocent as referencing a meme can be as shit as plagiarism if not handled respectfully. Why I think you're always better off reaching out and saying thank you, and why I hope something like this never happens to someone's fan work again. Earlier this year, the YouTuber Tomsko released The Guide to Plagiarism, which examines the line between inspiration and theft. And I guess in this video I wanted to ask, where is the line between homage and appropriation. Let's get into it.
They're coming to get you, Barbara!
Excellent!
Here are some of my personal favorite homages. That episode of Psych that plays out like Twin Peaks. That time Twin Peaks dressed up Michael Cera as Marlon Brando from The Wild One.
It's good to see you too, Sheriff Truman.
Or the undisputed GOAT, that one episode of Codename Kids Next Door that was a beat-for-beat remake of the second Renaissance segment from the Animatrix.
In the beginning, there were children, and for a time, it was pretty cool.
But a lot of those can be more defined as direct parody. Homages are an interesting thing to discuss because while homage means respect, sometimes borrowing someone's move may in fact be copying them. I don't think anyone raises an eyebrow when Wes Anderson does a Leone framing or when George Lucas sampled Kurosawa's vertical wipe for Star Wars. But one of the most notorious stories of stretching the limit of homage was when the film director Darren Aronofsky homaged Satoshi Kon's Perfect Blue for his film Requiem for a Dream. Now, this is an incident which has been discussed between cinephiles and anime fans for decades. But for those unfamiliar, the fantastic animation newsletter Animation Obsessive goes over this in even more detail.
Darren, a Brooklyn boy.
Yeah, I'm a beginner at this. I've never done a talk show, so...
This is the first talk show?
Yeah,
this is it. Happy.
Before he was known for making major films like Black Swan, The Wrestler, or The Whale...
Thank you. Thank you so much, Darren Aronofsky. You are a fearless leader, a visionary. I am blessed to have just gotten to get to work with you every day.
Filmmaker Darren Aronofsky was heavily inspired by Japanese underground cinema. His debut feature, the black and white thriller Pi, heavily borrowed visuals and atmosphere from the cult classic Tetsuo the Iron Man. And while working on his next project, an adaptation of Hubert Selby Jr.'s novel Requiem for a Dream, he fell in love with the then obscure animated film from Japan called Perfect Blue. Now hailed as a masterpiece, Perfect Blue was the debut feature of legendary animation director Satoshi Kon. It is regarded as one of the greatest psychological suspense films ever made, either live action or animated, but at the time of its release, it was not viewed as anything remarkable within the anime industry, and was technically a flop. Kon had considered himself an unsuccessful director.
I think shortly after that, I did see Perfect Blue.
But after seeing Perfect Blue, Aronofsky became obsessed with it, to the point of even making attempts to purchase the rights to it for a remake. Despite the deal never going through, Darren still took this moment of the main character Mima crying in a tub from Perfect Blue and used it for Jennifer Connelly's character Marion in Requiem. And this is where the recollection of events start to differ. Darren says he sent out a letter reaching out to him.
I remember writing to Satoshi in Japan saying, hey, would you mind if I used one of your shots as an homage to you, but it would help this moment in my film. And he was very flattered. I remember him being he was fine and generous.
Now, Kon claims that he was unaware of this until he saw Requiem for himself in 2001 and was genuinely taken aback by it.
Requiem for a Dream という映画ご存知ですか？
すいません、ちょっとわからないんですけど。
ダーレン・アロノフスキーっていう監督が撮ったんですよ。はい。で、パイっていう映画でデビューして、はい、どうやらお気に入りらしいと。はい、で、レクイエム・フォー・ドリームで彼が来日した時に会ってるんですよ。対談しようと。
And the two directors wouldn't discuss the matter until getting Thai food after an event promoting the film. Details on the dinner are further split as Aronofsky remembers the meeting being rather pleasant and delightful.
Went back to Japan with Requiem for a Dream, and asking him what he thought of the shot, and he said he was very proud. So it was great. It was a lot of fun to have that kind of connection with him.
While Khan recalls he was just putting on a smile and the dinner was frustrating and embarrassing, in part because Aronofsky's earlier film Pi was much more financially successful than Perfect Blue, meaning Darren had access to more resources than Khan to essentially just do his idea.
これとですね、このカット、ね、俯瞰で風呂に顔をつけている。はい。で、窒息しそうになっているわけですよ。顔つけてるんですね。で、ここでこらえきれずにバカ野郎と。で、この2カットまんまアングルも構図も同じで。
上からのと、はい、この水の中。はい。
レクリエム・フォー・ドリームに、使われているんですけど、本人に会って確認したらオマージュだって。オマージュですよ。私に。この私に。
I'm feeling pathetic. It's a pitiful tale when the person being paid homage to has less name recognition, less social credibility, and less budget to spend. If I can't make a living, I might ask Darren for a job. He gave me his email address. If he becomes a big hit, he might forget me.
So, while his films were genius and was genuinely regarded as a compassionate and understanding person, Khan was a director and had an ego, and a lot of the people who worked around him regard that he was capable of being a very nasty person.
一言では言えない。やっぱり両方あると思うんで、とっても嫌なやつだった。とっても嫌なやつだったって OK？ だけど大好きです。
But it's important to remember just how grueling the conditions are to create anime, only to have a much more well-paid and resourceful filmmaker kind of be a copycat.
かぶってますよね。
かぶってるっていうかパクリなんじゃねえのみたいな。いやでも本人にやってあれはどうなのって。いや全部オマージュ。そのぐらいやっぱり私が自分で映画を作る時にはやっぱり大好きな映画で、すごくこう影響を受けたものとか、印象に残ったものはついオマージュしてしまうんですね。オマージュしてしまう。はい。はい。
But at the very least, we can agree on one thing. Darren Aronofsky is genuinely a fan of Perfect Blue. So much so that he would reference it once again in his 2010 blockbuster thriller, Black Swan. Which, although Darren denies doing this, we would never find out what Khan's thoughts on the matter were, because he would unexpectedly die 1 week before it came out. Since then, Khan's work has continued to be homaged in films to this day, and although Khan seemed to have softened on Requiem over the years, at the very least there was always the sense that he was more than a little salty over this moment he would define as too much homage.
レクイエム・フォー・ドリームでこのじゃあミマのこのお風呂にこう入ってるんだとジェニファー・コネリーですよ。ジェニファー・コネリーがやってるんですよ。あら。俺のコンテ通りにはね去年同じ飛行機に乗ってました。あ。ファーストクラスでしたね向こうはね。一家で。あら。ビジネスクラスだったんでね。
I, for the record, was homaged by a puppet of Jennifer Connelly. Here's an odd question. If you are homaging someone, should you thank them by name? One notable thing about my video is that I never made any money off of it. I never made a fan theory before or had any desire to run what people on YouTube would call a theory channel. I had no idea it would actually take off, so it wasn't set up to be monetized and it got copyright claimed. Which is a bummer because if it had been properly monetized, that video could have made anywhere from... which is like a year's salary, and would have been the most I would have made from anything I wrote by a long shot. Now, as opposed to, say, a piece of sketch comedy or physical artwork, what makes a fan theory interesting is that there really isn't anything proprietary about it. Like a meme, you could copy it verbatim, like telling or sharing a joke, and people have made articles or content essentially rehashing the theory. And I'm fine with that since for the most part they link back to the original video and say, this is the guy who came up with that idea. However, that hasn't always been the case. About a month after the video first came out in November 2018, it was reported on by Dan Casey of Nerdist. And people in the comments section were furious since Dan didn't really address or link to my original video or channel, so there were multiple cries and accusations of Nerdist ripping me off. But I actually met with Dan after this, and we all talked things over and smoothed things out years ago. And it was an honest gaffe on his part, so I think this really is all old news. Because I actually have some examples that are much more recent. I just found out that in October of last year, a fairly popular Spanish YouTube channel called Lolia did a video on the theory that got more than double the views of Casey's, and his video even had sponsors. And at first glance, the way he's delivering it, it seems like he's almost pretending to figure out the theory like he's the one actually coming up with it. And he does forget to cite some points that were actually made in the unofficial follow-up by Nomadic Kong. And you'd think I'd be upset, but I actually appreciate this video since he did make an effort to try and put his own spin on it, and most importantly, he linked back to my original channel. And since it's in a totally different language, it's actually being shared to an audience that doesn't speak English. So, in theory, his video is doing something that mine doesn't. That is not the case with Screen Rant, who in April decided to just post an article that was only the theory without any attribution, which is actual plagiarism, you naughty boys. But this is a fairly standard case of creator misattribution, and I think we all got enough of that last year. The point being is that since a lot of internet work and fan work is distributed freely and not very profitable for those who create it, the common etiquette is that when you reference it, you shout out the creator and post a link, so that way they can receive some kickback.
My favorite theory, like fan theory around something, is Snowpiercer being in the Willy Wonka universe. So a YouTuber made this very good video.
But these all feel like very cut and dry examples, and I suppose the ethical question is this. If you are getting paid to run an official authorized TV show and are going to reference a well-known piece of fan work as a set piece in your program, then are you technically profiting from it? And I think the answer to that is in a legal sense no, but in a personal sense yes. And as per usual, context is everything, and not all homages are created equal. Let's take a look at 3 notable examples of homage. The first is from the Family Guy episode Wasted Talent. The second is from the movie X-Men The Last Stand.
Don't you know who I am?
And the third is from the movie Five Nights at Freddy's.
You do realize that lunch is the most important meal of the day.
One is a Wonka parody, and 2 are cases of internet memes getting confirmed. And I suppose mine was in a sense a combination of all 3. But what's fascinating is that in each of these examples, the creator-recipient dynamic changes dramatically. Let's start back here in the year 2000. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory has become ubiquitous in pop culture, so referencing it is generally like referencing any other movie. Plenty of TV shows have a Wonka episode, and the hilarious Silver Scroll for the Pawtucket Pat Brewery storyline from the 2nd season of Family Guy remains one of the finest Wonka parodies ever made.
Take a drink and you'll sink to a state of pure inebriation.
Gene Wilder was actually asked to be the original voice of Pawtucket Pat, but declined, so they got Michael McKean to step in. Everyone remembers the iconic Pure Inebriation song, the Chumbawambas, and the immortal knee injury gag. But what they might not remember is that this is the B story. The title of this episode, Wasted Talent, refers to the A plot, where Lois tries to find a piano student to beat her rival in a student piano competition, and discovers that Peter possesses a savant-like piano playing proficiency, but only when he's inebriated.
Huh. I think we found his muse.
Oh my God, you can only play the piano when you're drunk.
So all of this is discovered after the factory tour, and this whole piano competition is technically the A story. Much like the original movie, the Wonka stuff isn't the majority of the episode. In fact, most compilations that show only the Wonka story average to be about 5.5 to 7 minutes of screen time. And admittedly, as is the case with Family Guy, a lot of this is just a framing device for a bunch of non sequiturs.
Oh man, this is the happiest day of my life. Now I know how Barbara Streisand must have felt the day she married James Brolin.
I love you.
I love you too. I'm so glad I married a regular person and not a celebrity.
Although it is worth mentioning, Seth MacFarlane is clearly a massive fan of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and has collaborated with Barbra Streisand on a cover of Pure Imagination.
With a spoon. Validating would be an understatement, and it is nothing short of a spectacular honor.
They really play up the Anthony Newley vocal stylings. It's quite wonderful. But this was a case of Family Guy referencing a separate media property, which, well, Family Guy does all the time. It's a TV show referencing a movie. It's fair game. Where things get interesting is when media properties reference work within their own fandom, or when a fan meme is confirmed. Fan memes are a very specific form of reference because they originated within the source material, then mutated to form their own meaning completely independent of their original creator's intent, and then are ideally reincorporated back into the original as a form of ultimate fan service. The classic internet example being World of Warcraft's immortal battle cry, which was a meme so iconic it achieved the second highest honor one could receive, getting to be a clue on Jeopardy!
This role-playing game, out in 2004, returns to the world of Azeroth, where heroes like Leroy Jenkins do battle. And that would be the world of Warcraft.
This reckless charge into danger from 2005 became so well known and ubiquitous it ended up getting featured into the actual game and crossed over into all other forms of media.
Jenkins! Oh my God, he just ran in. Let's go, let's go!
It never actually made it into the official Warcraft movie, but Blizzard did fly him out to the premiere, so at least he got carpet. Because there is a power dynamic difference between making a reference to pop culture and making a reference to fan work. Because referencing a fan meme is a form of fan service, and fan service isn't technically a tribute. It's just giving the audience what they want, which is in effect a promotional tool used to get people to engage with a commercial product. One only need to look at the windfall financial success of Deadpool and Wolverine as proof of its effectiveness. Even things as seemingly innocuous as cameos are not only pricey and in some cases political, but are valuable tools to promote a project. And the general consensus is that when a fan meme is referenced by the source material, that it has in fact been canonized. It has been confirmed. But as we shall see, not all fan confirmations are created equal. Let's jump ahead to last year, to when a certain YouTuber made his star debut.
But hey, that's just a...
I don't know if I'm getting the angle right, but this is updated for 2024.
So Matthew Patrick is indisputably the most successful personality in what we shall call the internet fan theory space. And to not acknowledge him is effectively like not acknowledging the sun. He was a man known for dressing in snappy jackets, coming up with wild internet theories, bringing the video game Undertale to weird places, and of course, his signature catchphrase.
But hey, that's just a theory, a game theory,
Or film theory, style theory, food theory, etc. I'm the theory guy.
I don't think I need to delve too deep into Matt Pat's backstory and lore, since a fair number of videos covering his career have come out recently. But after graduating from Duke University with a dual major in theater and neuroscience, Matthew Patrick started his channel as a way to showcase his musical theater performances. Looking to build his resume and expand his production skills, on April 18, 2011, Matthew and his future wife Stephanie posted the first episode of their edutainment show Game Theory to YouTube, a look at whether or not the time travel mechanics of the game Chrono Trigger were accurate. But it wasn't until the second episode, examining the sewer and plumbing logistics of Super Mario Bros., that Matt Pat would coin his iconic catchphrase,
Anyway, it's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
Starting out as a Mythbusters-like examination of the mechanics of video games, Matt Pat would improve and expand game theory to cover a vast array of topics, and the channel would hit its stride when it came to decoding and speculating on the lore of one particular media franchise, the Chuck E. Cheese-inspired horror video game, Five Nights at Freddy's. What makes this pairing unique compared to the other homages is the two-way symbiotic relationship this creator would have with this franchise. As opposed to a mere one-way shout-out, the case of Matt Pat and Five Nights at Freddy's is actually the 10-year story of witnessing a living fan work assimilate itself into becoming a vital part of the canon, and one game designer dedicated to trolling a YouTuber to the point of insanity. Five Nights at Freddy's initially gained popularity in 2014 as a jump scare horror game that streamers and personalities would play for their hilarious reactions, similar to that of the downloadable game Slender. But over each installment, the creepy characters of FNAF would become popular among its younger skewing fanbase. Some would say they grew very attached to them, causing the merchandise of the property to become very lucrative, even more lucrative than the brand it was lampooning. But what really separated FNAF from any other game that came before it was its creator Scott Cawthon's idea to incorporate elaborately cryptic clues that hinted at a deep labyrinthian backstory behind these animatronic characters. In a sense, these games stopped being straightforward horror and began to resemble an alternate reality game. The mystery, mythology, and clues became as important as the monsters, which made it the perfect material for MatPat to make content on. Now, rather than spoiling the mystery, like say The Masked Magician does on Secrets of Magic Revealed, having MatPat struggle to piece together the secrets and decode the lore of these games on Game Theory made it accessible to a whole new audience. Scott Cawthon, the game's creator, realized it was promotionally beneficial for him to have MatPat make content on his game, which turned the simple man-plays-game relationship into a back-and-forth troll war resembling Moriarty's rivalry with Sherlock Holmes. MatPat is also one of the most professional, hardworking, and bankable personalities in the insane business that is YouTube. Unlike most meme creators who are just doing it for the lulz, MatPat is a very smart businessman who figured out the ins and outs of channel analytics and optimization, which along with his ceaseless work ethic made him incredibly successful on the platform. Over the years, he built an audience with a massive reach, and because of his theater kid background, he knew how to make his presence known. It's why FNAF embraced the content creators that were making work from the game rather than turning them away. In terms of game theory, MatPat cooperating with Scott Cawthon is a win-win scenario for both of them. So much so that they arranged for MatPat to have the highest honor a meme could receive, the fabled walk-on cameo, which is one of the highest tiers of homage since that means you're in on it and you're getting paid to be a day player.
Is MatPat in the new FNAF movie? Yes, I am. I am at 28 minutes and 22 seconds into the movie, and the go-to line there is the classic line that I say all the time, buddy!
What makes this even weirder is that symbolically this cameo is not just a reference to any one particular FNAF meme he created, it is MatPat himself who is getting confirmed. And once again, he's somehow managed to bring Undertale into it. And MatPat's cameo would garner a massive pop when it played in theaters.
You do realize that lunch is the most important meal of the day. Thought it was breakfast. Some people say that, but you know, it's just a theory. Are you being
And unlike some YouTube theorists who didn't even get sent a t-shirt, this man was flown out, got his own trailer, his own swaggy Fazbear drip.
My scene was the first scene shot of the entire production. Day one, scene one, I was there.
This behind-the-scenes video was then followed by an official collaborative merch drop. MatPat is no mere meme peddler. He's the Fazbassador, the mascot of mascot horror. Because my most popular work is a fan theory, I have been inevitably compared to MatPat. But I like to think that we embody two totally different approaches. He embodied a type of high-energy presentation style that I guess I can describe as YouTuber Genki, and I modeled my video's presentation style after Tony Zhao's video essay series, Every Frame a Painting. Every Frame a Painting is still one of the most groundbreaking and slick video series on YouTube, and after years of absence, Tony's come back with a new series of essays and a new project called The Second. Welcome back, Tony. We all missed you a lot. And because my subject matter was an art house film, I thought it would be neat to take an art house approach to a fan theory. One of the reasons it was so effective was that it was just footage from the movie. But there are trade-offs. I don't appear on camera because I thought that would be distracting, which is the opposite of the business practices of successful YouTubers, because this is all about brand recognition. I will freely admit, I don't have a consistent brand and my channel is a freaking mess. And my theory's eye-catching thumbnail, which is just as vital to the success as any of the content inside of it, was inspired by MatPat's signature clickbait green. But there is admittedly something intentionally obnoxious about using bright and oversaturated colors, since playing into the sensationalism is part of MatPat's style. And a lot of these loud tactics that MatPat used to drive engagement were developed to get the attention of children, who still dominate the majority of the audience on YouTube. You may think that the script for the FNAF movie was kinda dumb, but all of these business strategies are genuinely brilliant. And if you're a snob who thinks having a refined taste in sophisticated movies is what will dictate and save the future of cinema, remember, Five Nights at Freddy's outgrossed Parasite.
What is MatPat doing now? I am retired. I retired about 3 weeks ago as we're recording this. It is great.
MatPat retired from on-camera theorizing earlier this year and had an incredible run as the host of Theorist. He started and sold his own company, is raising a family, had his own show, produced a play on Broadway, hosted the Streamies, ran a fashion show, had his last meal, started a lo-fi horror ARG, did a Five Nights at Freddy's video, and got to close out on his own terms. He's the embodiment of a successful content creator, and it's a testament to his passion and resolve that after all of this work and over 10 years of grinding, Matthew Robert Patrick got to live out every actor's dream of getting to be a waiter.
It's just a theory.
So while MatPat's story is sweet and inspiring, it's not actually the first time a YouTube meme was referenced in a Hollywood movie. Because the first time an internet catchphrase was featured in a major motion picture, things played out very differently. Let's turn the clock back to 2006, to the very birth of YouTube, when boundaries were about to be broken.
Yeah, it's the Juggernaut! Next Saturday brings you an hour of X-Men excitement.
The Earth has gone mad.
With the thrilling conclusion of the Phoenix Saga. At what cost? Don't miss this hour-long X-Men event next Saturday morning on Fox Kids.
In September of 1994, over the course of 1 week, Fox airs its 5-episode arc of the X-Men animated series, covering the comics acclaimed Dark Phoenix Saga storyline.
I must learn. The crystal must be healed.
This story arc was revolutionary to the history of comics, and the animated adaptation was nothing short of superb. But arguably, what has become the most recognizable episode of this story arc was in Part 3 in Cry of the Banshee, which features the classic X-Men villain, the Juggernaut, tormenting the eternal object of his hatred, his stepbrother, Charles Xavier.
Or what, honey buns? You're gonna give me a spanking?
Before kidnapping the alien princess Lilandra of the Shi'ar Empire.
Please, don't warn me.
But most of you probably don't remember the actual dialogue from this scene. Because if you were on the internet in 2006, you don't remember the Juggernaut sounding like this.
But I came here for one reason. My do-gooder half-brother. There's something I've wanted to say to you for a long time.
You probably remember him sounding like this.
Don't you know I will beat the shit out your ass, Charles? I will beat the shit out you with Charles. As a matter of fact, I don't give a fuck. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
12 years later, on a then newly launched site called YouTube, someone posts a 240p resolution clip of Cry of the Banshee, but dubbing over the voices of the episode.
Oh, my helmet. I got this shit in 4th grade. Oh no! My face. Pimp smack your ass, bitch. You my hooker now. Now it's time for me to take my prize.
Turning the Juggernaut from a PG-rated thug into an R-rated, foul-mouthed, F-bop dropping, crass, obsessed gangsta thug who really, really, really hates his brother Charles Xavier.
Yeah, it's the Juggernaut, bitch. Yeah, Charles, I beat the shit out.
Hey,
oh,
yes,
motherfucker, I forgot.
Your mama dresses your ass funny.
Charles, shut the up, Charles. I'm gonna beat your ass. Ah! Too fast.
At a time before social media, when the barriers between YouTube, Newgrounds, and World Star Hip Hop were dangerously thin, this 9-minute clip, simply called The Juggernaut Bitch, took the internet by storm.
All this money, hell yeah, selling them hoes is easy as hell.
The lines from this viral raunchy fandom became so iconic that they are still remembered to this day.
You gonna get hurt by my pimp one way or another.
Not as long as I'm wearing these Jamaican colors, there's no you can harm me.
And from then on, the Juggernaut Bitch became one of the earliest massive memes within the internet.
Yeah, it's the Juggernaut, bitch!
My god, Juggernaut is broken. I'm telling you, bro, you're gonna see why the meme of I'm the Juggernaut is actually a true thing.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch.
Despite its shock humor and vulgarities, it was so silly and ridiculous it was widely embraced and accepted at the time, and was even met with approval from the X-Men animated series creators, Julia and Eric Lewald.
It is so gratifying to have worked on anything that other people have taken to and said, I want to play with this, I want to have fun with this, as long as it's done from a place of appreciation and fun versus snarky and nasty.
Its popularity was so huge and the line became so attached to the character of Juggernaut, it even reached the desks of Hollywood, where the director Brett Ratner loved the line so much, he convinced 20th Century Fox to do reshoots to add the line into his upcoming summer blockbuster, X-Men 3: The Last Stand.
This is a line that probably we should talk about.
Who showed this to me? Was it you?
Zach and I both.
Zach showed me.
I showed it to you.
Showed me an internet blog of was it on YouTube or something?
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's all over the internet.
Yeah, of the internet of these guys who do voiceover over a cartoon, the X-Men cartoon, which I'd seen as a kid, and they're like just jive talking over it.
Yeah, and the catchphrase is, "Don't you know I'm the Juggernaut?"
I'm the Juggernaut. So I saw it and I thought it was so brilliant and convinced the studio to let me go back and shoot that.
And just like Mad Pat's cameo in Five Nights at Freddy's,
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
This line caused a massive pop when it played in theaters. It was even sampled on the rapper Killer Mike's I Pledge Allegiance to the Grind.
You know I'm better than you. Don't you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch! Big ass rims, fresh ass damn!
And still to this day, despite the mediocre reception of this movie, clips of this moment and this line still garner millions of views and tend to be the only thing people remember from it. Except here's the thing. Do you remember the channel name that this video was originally uploaded to? Because you probably can't. Because despite this meme being one of the edgiest pieces of iconic early aughts internet comedy, it's a very difficult piece of media to discuss, since it is in fact filled with profanity, sexual assault jokes, and was actually removed from YouTube. And you probably don't remember the original channel because it was deleted 17 years ago. And what may seem to be a cringy internet reference,
Don't you know who I am?
may in fact be the first case of major internet meme plagiarism. And if you don't believe me, you might believe it if you hear it from them. So I suppose I should start by asking you guys one very important question. Before 2005, who was your favorite X-Men?
Ooh, Gambit.
I think it was Nightcrawler. Because I used to play the arcade game. That's what I used to play.
Yeah, that's true.
I never got past the first level because Nightcrawler always got you never failed.
You never know where to go.
I always heavily identified with Scott Summers.
I mean, I love Cyclops as well, but Morph? Oh, it was Morph.
I didn't
It
know
was
Morph
Morph. That's
I
right.
was watching the new one. I was like, what's up?
I remember it was Morph. Morph at first, but then they took him out of the series real quick, and then
Yeah,
became
he had
Gambit.
like 2 episodes. It's like, nah, Morph, we don't need your help no more. It's another person.
To kind of think about where to start all this up, I guess to tell you a little bit about what this project is.
I figured he should be in the chat too.
Jug has entered the chat.
You don't break his neck.
Oh my god.
Silly bitch, your weapons cannot harm me. Don't you know who the fuck I am? Bad. I'm the baddest motherfucker in the world. I've been a costume right man.
Finish him off already. Stop talking.
Comb your beard. I don't want to hear that shit.
You guys are so old school in terms of the internet. Like 2006 was the turning point of internet and YouTube. And I feel like you guys were internet, you guys weren't YouTube, which is really weird because people were always like, oh, this was the first video that like was like this is how it started. And I'm like, it kind of started, but it just kind of ended at the same time. You know, what happened with you guys, which I think is the weirdest example of an homage, is you guys made something, everybody loved it. You kind of got betrayed by the very properties that you were trying to boost.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's so Okay, so in order for this to make sense, I'm going to have to go off on a little tangent. It's kind of important because it'll give a better understanding of the bind Xavier and Randy are in with copyright, but admittedly this is optional. So if you want, you can go right ahead and skip to this time code and jump into the interview. Or if you like, you can stick around because we're going to get into the history of fan dubbing, and we're going to go pretty deep.
Ready, Mike? When I say take one, give it a couple seconds. Take one. That was wicked, man.
So dubbing or voiceover dubbing is the relatively simple practice of taking a piece of pre-existing media and adding new dialogue over it. Dubbing was initially developed as a way to legitimately localize movies for different foreign markets. Of course, a lot of these dubs could be of notably poor quality. Some of the most iconic and culturally significant ones were the American dubs of martial arts and kung fu movies.
What is your line of work? Businessman. And where do you come from? From the South. Oh, from the South.
This inspired a form of comedy where people started dubbing over movies to make the characters say jokes and non sequiturs, changing the context of the story completely. One of the earliest examples of dubbing as a form of comedy was Woody Allen's What's Up Tiger Lily from 1966.
Name 3 presidents.
Roosevelt, McKinley. Lincoln?
And in modern times, this craft would be honed to near lip-sync technical perfection on YouTube channels like Bad Lip Reading.
This place could become the best medieval theme park in the world. The only problem is that a lot of the employees here work about as hard as a bucket of apples.
It's beer and a ton of powdered donuts. 'Cause it's powerful, yeah! Powdered sugar!
But this can be seen as more of a one-off novelty, since I'd argue that the modern riff style of dubbing was something that was done in bits and spurts in shows like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
You were there with all the spirit you had for your high school team and maybe a little more.
Look at my crotch! 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 Look at my crotch!
Effectively mimicking the experience of someone watching something on your couch and making live commentary. However, modern internet dubbing began through a series of groundbreaking videos called the Fensler PSAs, in which filmmaker Eric Fensler ripped the PSAs from episodes of Hasbro's G.I. Joe.
Well, just don't do what a stranger says. Check it out with an adult you know.
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
And added voices over them.
I don't want people.
What the hell?
I just want to ride my boat.
Turning them into nonsensical avant-garde comedy that almost bordered on performance art.
Pork chop sandwiches! Oh, shit! Get the fuck out of here! What are you doing? Go! Get the fuck out of here, you stupid idiot! Fuck, we're all dead! Get the fuck out!
And this was genuinely groundbreaking in terms of internet comedy. Not just because they were some of the first embodiments of random internet humor.
Give him the stick. Don't give him the stick.
Do you know my dad?
Oh, G.I. Joe!
But because of the trouble Fensler got into with Hasbro. The people who owned G.I. Joe didn't really like his dubs, so they hit him with a cease and desist order for infringing on their copyright. The videos then got uploaded to eBaum's World, where they remained circulated ever since, and Hasbro just kind of gave up on the whole thing, because although these videos should have technically been fair use, videos like fan dubs that use copyrighted material have been under near constant attack since their inception.
Hey kid!
What?
I'm a computer!
Even classic web programs like the hilarious Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged had their original videos taken down and eventually put back up, since again, using any content regardless of how harmless or legally protected can be picked up by some content ID bots and robo-swatted.
That's against the rules, isn't it? Screw the rules, I have money.
Now, although there have been authorized Hollywood dub programs like Cinematography, where the rights to their dubs are cleared by legal teams, nobody watches those since they're behind a paywall. The real stuff, the good stuff.
It was me, Barry. I made them draw Lola Bunny with fewer sexual features so that you wouldn't be horny and reduce your blood flow to make you a millisecond slower.
That's internet fan dubbing. And in addition to the Fensler PSAs, Randy and Xavier were inspired by AMVs, or anime music videos, which despite being the most harmless things in existence, are still considered risky and dangerous to post publicly because they use copyrighted material. And in 2006, when all of this was happening, the MPAA would tell you piracy is a crime in big bold letters, because peer-to-peer file sharing sites like Napster were hurting the music industry. Now the catch is that media preservationists would argue that in addition to piracy, back then there wasn't an easy way to access hard-to-find media that wasn't available to be purchased commercially, like foreign films and anime. Now much like kung fu movies, anime was another cheap import from Asia that was badly dubbed to save on costs. And in the 1980s, when anime was first coming over to the US, the only way to watch the stuff was on tapes, and the primary way of getting those tapes was at conventions. And the big three anime series of the analog and tape trading era were Dirty Pair, Lupin III, and Space Battleship Yamato, or as it was known in the US, Star Blazers.
Searching for a distant star, heading off to Iskandar, leaving all we love behind. Who knows what dangers we'll find?
Which is the series that would serve as the basis for the first AMV ever made. So Star Blazers, like most anime at the time, was a censored westernized version for American broadcast. The original series, Space Battleship Yamato, was a very sophisticated, complex, and mature sci-fi series that told its story over the course of a long season, as opposed to American cartoon shows which were episodic one-shots and aimed at kids.
Hi there! Come Shabba-chum!
Now, much to Star Blazers' credit, despite being retrofitted as a children's program, they actually kept a lot of the original's complicated long-form storytelling, but they did cut out the shocking amount of graphic on-screen deaths that were a significant part of what made Yamato a harrowing military drama, leading to a lot of major characters in Star Blazers abruptly and unceremoniously getting killed off-screen.
Look out! The corridor is electrified. It can kill you.
IQ 9? It's a good thing you can take this electrical charge.
Which is why the original bootleg imports of Yamato were heavily traded and circulated at conventions, because it was the only way that die-hard fans could get access to the full story the way the creators intended. Then in November of 1982, 21-year-old college student James Kapotzis, or James Cap, had an interesting idea for an editing experiment that was inspired by an episode of one of his favorite television series, The Prisoner, starring Patrick McGoohan. Now, there is a case to be made on why The Prisoner is the most important TV drama of all time, but that is a whole other video in of itself, and most of you probably just know of it because of the time it was parodied on The Simpsons.
Welcome, friend. I'm number 6.
I'm number 15. What number are you?
I am not a number. I am a man. And don't you ever... Oh, wait, I'm number 5. In your face, number 6.
What you do need to know is that the series got increasingly surreal as it went on, culminating in the infamously divisive final episode of the series, Fallout, which was a 60-minute long non-stop mindfuck. Now, there is a lot of weird shit that happens in Fallout, but one of the standout weird moments is the violent shootout in the destructing enemy base at the end that inexplicably had All You Need Is Love by the Beatles playing in the background. So, on a lark, James as an experiment took 2 VHS players and his uncensored Battleship Yamato tapes and recreated the All You Need Is Love shootout from The Prisoner, but with the uncensored footage from Yamato, creating the first ever anime music video.
A Facebook friend of mine mentioned when she was younger going to a convention in Hungary, and they'd done showings of AMVs, and I guess the MC had said, "The first AMV was done by a Hungarian." Yay! That Hungarian is in the United States. Boo.
James unfortunately passed away early last year, and while these edits are very rudimentary, they are groundbreaking and reflected James' genuine love of storytelling in anime and storytelling in music.
I would find, by listening to music, that there were stories to be told that matched certain visuals. And that's what got me into the idea of matching anime with music, because there were songs that told stories. If the people that had the rights objected about it, I would basically be doing this in jail. You know, anyone who does an AMV in a way sort of breaks copyrights, but I think it's covered under fair use these days. And initially I did it as a hobby, not as something that can be broadcast. It's sort of a grayscale thing.
While early AMVs were mostly nerdy and goofy stuff,
Hair, long, beautiful hair, shining, gleaming, streaming, flaxen, waxen.
James would also tell you that he once saw a Grave of the Fireflies AMV set to Love Will Keep Us Alive by the Eagles that brought him to tears, and he would probably appreciate it if somebody could find it and upload it for him. Early AMVs and fandubs were a lot like early skater culture, but in the spirit of the gift economy, all of this was just shared and nobody ever tried to profit from it.
I wasn't afraid of copying, people doing copies and doing it their own. I was afraid of walking into a dealer's room at a science fiction or a comic convention and finding my videos for sale.
Did that ever happen?
No, it didn't, thank God. You know, I was basically afraid I would find myself suddenly getting cease and desist notice for stuff that I gave away freely and someone was making profit. I found it sort of disgusting that I'm doing something for pure art and pure enjoyment and someone else is making a profit off of it.
Following the creation of the first AMV came the first anime fandub, a spoof on space battleship Yamato called Yusei Yamato, which was shown in 1983 and was actually co-created by Phil Foglio of the webcomic Girl Genius. But while this was the first ever fandub, so little is known about it I can't actually tell you much or even whether or not it was influential, because it was only seen and written about once and was basically screened at one con. One thing you'll notice about this primordial history of AMVs and fandubs is that it's less a chain of influence and more of a series of isolated milestones that were reached based on the technology and media available at the time. Specialized equipment was needed, and only a few dozen people in the world were doing this, so this stuff was extremely niche.
We're off to sail the stars. We might never get past Mars. Run aground on the sandbar. Our star dip wads.
If you don't stop channel surfing on the automatic soundtrack machine, I shall rip off your testicles and eat them! No, that's not what I'll do at all! I'll rip them off and make someone else eat them. Yourself, perhaps.
That certainly would be the most personally distressing of the possible scenarios you've thus far outlined, sir.
That's why I'm the captain. Now, let's everybody drop acid and we'll pull that warp drive lever again. That thing kicks the shit.
Early fandub crews like Sherbert and Pine Salad Productions would capitalize on this niche by doing what was considered the height of fandub parody comedy in the 80s, getting Kay and Yuri from Dirty Pair to shit on controversial producer Carl Macek for butchering the beloved series Macross into the westernized Frankenstein mess that was Robotech.
Here lies Carl Macek, who was executed after a showing of Robotech the movie. Boy, he must have really f***ed up.
This was the hot button issue of con culture in the 80s, and real fans still aren't over this. Then in the late 90s, fandubs would take on a more juvenile, edgier comedic tone, being heavily influenced by South Park.
Oh my God! They killed Kazi!
Leading to some truly inspired parody titles like Sailor Goon or Visions of Escablomi. Which, by the way, if someone wants to help us digitize and upload Escablomi to the internet, the owner's info is here. But it needs to be known that the humor in all of these was still quite crude and juvenile, and the height of AMV comedy was pretty much just getting anime characters to call each other pimps.
Are you a pimp, Kendo? I don't have to put up with these wild allegations.
Which was personified by the peak and arguably the end of the analog era of fandubs, the landmark parody, Evangelion Redeath by Studio Sokudai, which spawned the first ever fandub meme.
It's Kendo. Oh, baby.
Now, at first glance, there may seem to be nothing extraordinary about Evangelion Redeath, and admittedly, a lot of the humor doesn't hold up. Except it's important to remember, this wasn't meant to be on a computer screen and shared on the internet. When the Californian-based collective Studio Sokudai created Redeath, It was only meant to be seen live in secretive screenings at their home base, De Anza College, and cons like Fanime, where the crowds would go wilder than Rocky Horror Picture Show for this. And lead to hilariously awesome crowd participation rituals like the chair chant. But despite Sokudai's hermetic ways and their vows to respect the sanctity to only show their dubs at cons, Redeath would be among the first fan dubs to get archived and circulated online. Its Gendo was only the beginning, and Western anime fandom as we knew it
Claudia, did I offend you?
was about to explode.
Pretty good! How to turn this off?
Watch closely, everyone. I'm going to show you how to kill a god.
And from Miramax Films, Princess Mononoke.
Tune into the Fox Box and catch a sneak peek episode of Shaman King, the ghostly new show from the people who brought you Yu-Gi-Oh!
Ultimate edition of the Ultimate Series.
Quite a bargain, nicht?
Neon Genesis Evangelion, the Platinum Edition.
Yeah! Your friends can watch this whole DVD online! Pass it on! So, all they have to do is go to www.im4kids.tv.
I know marijuana is harmful. I know it can't improve my game.
And in the 2000s, there was a sort of gold rush when the success of Yu-Gi-Oh! And a lot of 4Kids dubs made anime a hot commodity. A lot of programs were licensed and dubbed professionally from Japan, despite most of the anime being licensed not being very good and the humor not translating well from Japan, which has led to humorous outtakes by professional voice actors.
General, a tank unit of the Pelican Army is apparently assembling in front of the Wakaba cigarette shop.
What? In front of Wakaba cigarettes?
General, maybe we can use Mune's massive ass to blast the enemy out of their position in front of the Wakaba cigarette shop.
What? In front of Wakaba cigarettes?
In addition to leading to some weird anomalies like that one time that BBC somehow got Little Britain's Matt Lucas to dub over an episode of Rumiko Takahashi's Lum Urusei Yatsura.
Mr. Invader's people have given us an ultimatum. They've chosen an inhabitant of our planet at random, namely you, and said that if you can beat one of them in a contest, which I admit is unlikely, then...
I'll pack up my catsuit and go home.
What do you say, Taro? Will you save the planet and all mankind?
Off!
This flood in the anime boom culminated in the most notorious dub of all time and arguably the birth of anime shock comedy as we know it, when ADV purchased the rights to the obscure series Ghost Stories, and for some reason were given an unspecified amount of free range when it came to adapting the plot. So ADV's controversial freewheeling voice director Stephen Foster decided to just make up a bunch of dialogue on his own and have these cute characters say the most shocking and deplorable things possible.
What? Ketero, what are you retarded?
Think of a big black man chasing you!
Transforming a typical after-school yokai monster fighting show into one of the most fucked up comedies ever.
You should go Gandhi and show kindness to your enemies, and by doing so, turn them into friends.
You're a fag, and he should join the football team.
If you do, I'll you out for a Scooby snack.
Oh my god, you'll us off for a Scooby snack?
Oh my god, she'll us off for a Scooby snack.
Don't know what it is, but I want it! Shirotabi, please forgive me for bringing you back to life. I know now that it could never work between us. As much as we wanted to, it could never be! Not because you're a rabbit, but because you're black.
Truthfully, I just went wild with whatever I thought was funny. I had started this method of working where the actors could see the script on my monitor, and that way they could read lines as they needed to be changed instead of working off of a paper script. I went into the studio with just the translation and wrote scripts as I went. Ghost Stories is the only anime I know about with a dub that is so different from its original that even the genre has changed. It went from being an adventure series to a dark comedy.
Which, despite now being a completely different show,
They were tempted by fruit, and they knew they were sinful and naked without Jesus. Hello, sinner. God, can you go bomb an abortion clinic or something? You just wait. When that wonderful president finishes stacking the Supreme Court, we won't have to. Don't forget what I told you about premarital sex. Abstinence only got it.
this was paid and authorized. It was legal, and AMVs and fan dubs technically aren't and are unauthorized. And even though they are a form of tribute, they still aren't embraced by the companies that own the properties, despite the fact that anime is an industry and fandom that was built on the circulation of bootlegs and hard-to-acquire media. Even the leading anime service, Crunchyroll, initially started in 2006 as a piracy site. But more importantly, because anime is so ridiculous and was now being shared electronically, people can now take clips from anime and sync them to their favorite pirated songs. These digital AMVs were circulated and shared illegally because they used full copyrighted songs in their videos. So in addition to syncing Evangelion to Rammstein, a lot of these were also really funny, since you can now make characters mouth out Weird Al songs, or make Vegeta sing along to Whitney Houston. But all of this was super underground and shared at conventions. Most of this didn't impact Xavier and Randy because their primary influences were the Fensler PSAs and weird peer-to-peer file-sharing oddities like Old School Afternoon.
Dude, I thought you and Chitara had something going. Everybody and Chitara have something going. Too much eye makeup. I like skin.
Hey, motherfuckers! Y'all partying without me?
Which might as well be their own form of dubbing entirely. So you might wonder, why do this? Why go over this weird proto-history of this hobby that seemingly has no bearing on the matter at hand? Well, that's because there are 3 things about the Juggernaut bitch that were different than any fan dub that came before it. It was circulated on the internet first and not made for live streaming. This dub actually created a style that was unique to it. And 3 is something that you might not have picked up on. And it's that in this weird niche history of unauthorized fan dubs and AMVs, pretty much everyone who was doing this stuff was white. Randy, the voice of the Juggernaut, might be one of, if not possibly the first black fan dubber. And like many black performers that came before him, he innovated and elevated the craft of amateur fan dubbing. Even fellow trash parody fan dub aficionados agree that the comedy in JB was on another level compared to the dubs that came before it. And that comes from the fact that a lot of the slang that previous fan dubbers put on for comedic effect was just how guys like Randy talked, which enabled him to access a whole untapped catalog of glorious obscenities, resulting in what are still some of the filthiest fan dubs ever created. And this sort of lowbrow, highbrow, Afro-surrealist style shock humor wouldn't start making its way into the zeitgeist until programs like The Eric Andre Show began airing on Adult Swim nearly 6 years later.
Call y'all! Call y'all! Warp speed, don't rainbow read me!
My Way Entertainment, the team behind the Juggernaut bitch, is primarily made up of people of color. And their no-holds-barred style of parody dubbing is unique to them and a synthesis of all the techniques we've covered so far. Unlike fan dubs that came before it, My Way's dubs aren't scripted and aren't skits, so technically it's a form of riffing, but done in character. And like Ghost Stories, the footage is relatively unaltered. But the real signature element of My Way's parody dubs is that the real goal isn't to offend anyone, but to crack themselves up. Them cracking up kinda makes it funnier. I like to call the style Chicago dub, and stylistically paved the way for other ridiculous long-form parody fan dubs like Snapcube's Sonic series.
Honestly, I'm not f***ing with any more red boxes. Last time I did, it spit a bunch of quarters at me.
Wait, you don't put quarters in there? Where were you, Jet, were you putting your quarters in the card reader?
No.
Jet, you have to, that's not how you do that.
They were pouring out of it. I almost drowned like Scrooge McDuck.
What the are you talking about?
What the is going on?
Take that shit. Oh yeah, just like I like it.
Man, what the fuck you doing? This ain't no goddamn Gallagher.
Well, bitch, I ain't got no goddamn coins. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Shit.
Put a quarter in your ass because you played yourself. That's what you gotta do.
My Way's vulgar and crunchy dubs are fondly remembered by a lot of early net dwellers. And look, we've come a long way since the edgy humor of the mid-aughts. Book of Mormon didn't sweep the Tonys until 2011, and the jokes in their videos aren't safe for work and deal with taboo subject matter. But as a fan of Xavier and Randy's videos, since their comedic sensibilities shaped mine, I will remind you, you cannot get away with quoting most of this, and the real messed up stuff they came up with is still available on their website. So with all that finally out of the way, let's resume our conversation and find out why in the mid-2000s, My Way Entertainment rightfully earned their reputation as the most dangerous crew in dub. You guys are a crew. Like the way I look at content creators is everybody's a band, and people don't realize that like you guys are a band.
I play the bass.
Technically, yes. Yeah, I see it like that. I always saw it like my favorite director is Robert Rodriguez. And I always looked up to him because he's just a jack of all trades. He'll do everything. So that's basically how it is over here as well, where I'm the editor, the director, you know, the stuntman. But I do everything, you know, from social media to editing to putting the sound effects to blah, blah, to all that stuff. And then these guys are just the team that make it all happen. They give me the goods and I just put it all together into a masterpiece.
Sound like a chef. I like that.
I know. I'm the.
To bring in a Wu-Tang reference into it, it really feels like you're the RZA of this whole.
Yes. We have to use that reference now because Diddy is canceled.
Yeah, no.
Because back then it was Naz, you're the P. Diddy of this group.
I'm
not. No, I'm not. Not anymore. I'm not out there kicking chicks in the faces and having crazy parties. I'm not. So yes, I am the RZA. RZA's still good, right?
I think so.
Okay, I'm the RZA now.
I feel, Randy, you fall more into like a Method Man. Would that be?
Okay, I'm cool with that, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna be on Power the week after next. Tune in.
And one thing that I think is amazing is like you're just friends. You guys have known each other since high school.
Earlier than that.
Yeah, earlier than that, really.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So if you don't mind telling me your superhero origin story.
When you first came to this planet.
Landed in Homer Park, Chicago.
Oh, man.
We met like mid-90s, right? It was like 93 or 94 when I moved into the block and there was this playground across the street because there was a school. It was a grammar school that I went to, Pablo Casals Elementary School. And one time I was playing there in the playground. He lived on the block. He was there. He thought I was funny. And bam, we were friends ever since. And the same thing goes with Scooby. He lived on the block.
So there's sort of four main members of the My Way crew. Who are the four?
The original four was Randy, myself, Scooby, and Sony. And Sony I met in high school.
And you guys are all just comic book geeks. Like there's just that all natural bond, whatever the American equivalent of an otaku is, I feel like.
Yeah, which was an underground kind of community, I guess. I mean, for us,
Especially where we from,
Yeah, for us, it was just like our life. We grew up, we watched cartoons, comic book movies, anime, video games. That was just our life. But we were urban from the streets. And once I presented ourselves into the internet through YouTube and everything, there was a lot of people was like, oh, damn, I didn't know there were others like us out there. And we were like a representation of them, you know. It was like, it was cool to like comic books and video games and all this stuff and still be like, you know, I'm from the hood, you know, something like that.
What you guys did with the Juggernaut and all this is the most kind of hood thing to happen. And it was just you guys on a couch, essentially unintentionally hijacking a piece of Marvel's IP.
I'm telling you, it was pure boredom. And all we did was
it was so cold outside.
Yeah,
we had to find something doing some heat.
All we did was he'll come over my crib. We'll be in a small ass little room. He's playing my video games. I'm on the computer, and I was already dubbing with another friend before because of you saw because of other sources that inspired me, and I did some stuff with someone else. And when he came over, I just put on that video. I was like, hey, man, you want to dub something? And it was just, the rest was magic.
I think that like the earliest dubs came out of that like early Turner fuckery kind of style where it's like, hey, the Hanna-Barbera animation is so cheap, we can make these guys say anything.
That's a good question. I think maybe the Adult Swim was first because I don't...
Come on, with Space Ghost?
Like Space Ghost
power.
Like Space
Ghost. I found that out later. I didn't know what is his power.
Not getting paid enough. That is his powers. His paycheck is just keeps shrinking every single day.
When space goes wrong.
I know that was definitely basically what we do, but you see how they took it and they made it their own.
Yeah.
You know, if I had the ability of doing that, oh my God, it would be fantastic, you know, but I just think our niche is like, oh, here's something that you've seen and loved, and now here's a re-envision of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the way you build yourself is the godfathers of dub, the dub style. Because you guys preempted Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. Like the whole abridging movement happened after the dub movement.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. It had to have been right after us. And there are people that I never had like any animosity towards or any hate. because they did something that I truly liked, and I even inspired me because they created a format where it looked scripted. You know, it felt like perfectly edited and blah blah blah. That it actually inspired me moving forward. While we just like took something and just started riffing it and improvising it, is important because they went and did their own thing. You know, while there was a lot of people who were trying to be like us, and I definitely don't like that. Look,
I'm picturing, I know you're a big One Piece fan. I'm picturing the DeMarco Luffy, except it's the Juggernaut. I'm picturing you guys have a bunch of fake straw hats trying to be the Juggernaut.
There were people who were just like truly imitating us.
Wow.
Didn't look good. Look, like if you see the Fensler PSAs and you see us, you're not seeing the same thing.
It's completely different. Like, again, you guys were hood. You guys had your own style. If this happened in the 80s, you guys would have been like making VHS tapes that would have been passed out in some like bad comic book store. It's like prank calling or something like that. Like literally, you guys are a bootleg Juggernaut. Like that's just insane. For me and a whole generation of internet creators, you guys were Cheech and Chong. Like, and I mean that as a very sincere form of flattery. Like when I think of like how old generations looked at like Dave's Not Here or something like really old school like that, that's how we took the Juggernaut.
I would have been Cheech, but since I got the beard, I'm Chong now.
You gotta give me a fat ass mustache.
And you're still the Juggernaut. Like that's I think nowadays it's super easy to understand who you guys are and what you're about. And to really understand like the My Way entertainment philosophy, you really need to understand pro wrestling culture. With My Way, your current logo is themed after New World Order. And I've almost kind of been looking at you guys like a tag team, like the Dudleys in that certain sense.
Get the table.
I mean, the first thing that Juggernaut does is pick up a goddamn table. It is the most pro wrestling thing ever. And I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, these guys, like this whole dub is pro wrestling, but it's the greatest 9-minute free. Yeah.
You know, that's crazy because you saying that subconsciously, I guess that's what we were doing because it comes full circle. In J4, you literally have Juggernaut show up. It's like, hey Vince, I'm doing that promo. You know,
the only way I can go to WrestleMania because Vince McMahon buying all the territories. I couldn't think.
You guys are funny. Like that's the thing that actually makes me scratch my head about all of this. The Juggernaut, that was your first dub. Was that your first dub? The first thing that it all started with the Juggernaut.
We did a whole lot that night.
Yeah.
The Juggernaut was the first one we worked on. And then right after we done all this, after we did all the scenes, we did Street Fighter, the Street Fighter 2V series. I think that's it, right? Yeah, I think that was it. That's all we did that one night. And then later we got our other friends, Scooby and Sony involved, and that's how we did the Power Ranger dub.
And that's when things got.
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell is recording the Power Ranger dub like that?
I think that
Power Ranger!
Black Power, motherfucker.
Inebriation!
You chilling, motherfucker, yeah.
Nice.
Jose Canseco.
Yeah, let's do it.
Honky motherfucker long.
Okani! Yeah!
All right, we got you, bitch. I got crabs. I already got that shit. I can't get any more, guys. We gotta do that.
Hold on, bitch. From 25th and Wildwood, you got emus in that. Bitch, you better get your motherfucking mind right. I go by the name of Gangsta Chris Abbott. Me and the Gray Sox gang gon' f*** y'all in there.
Do you got some stuff that didn't make it?
I don't know. If anything, all that stuff is gone, man. When that computer crashed, all that stuff is gone.
I forgot about the crash.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That was fun. That was fun. I don't even know because that was also one of those moments. It was like, all right, he recorded, and then he just went crazy as that Gangsta Chris Ab, and we just kept going. And subconsciously,
once we found out what he was doing to the emus,
subconsciously we were just doing takes on each character. I mean, you know, you follow the stereotype. The Yellow Ranger was yellow. The Black Ranger was black. The Pink Ranger was a clueless valley girl. You know, your Red Ranger was a jock. Now everybody fit their pieces, but when I gave Sony Billy, he just went off and made the Billy like this, like sex craved monster, just constantly talking about his penis, and I'm like, all right.
Y'all ready for some crab? I slap bitches for a living.
Combination nice.
Oh yeah.
I'm barely 18.
Don't get no. What the f?
Now I gotta find out which one of y'all gonna toss my salad.
You guys record a bunch of dubs. So, and you don't post it until February. Like February, you decide not to do it until 2006.
Because in November of 2005, there wasn't no YouTube or anything like that. That option wasn't out there yet. At least not that I know. It became a thing a couple months later.
Because you guys were more E-Bombs World Albino Black Sheep. Because YouTube hadn't happened yet, but I assume like that's where you guys rolled.
No, I didn't do any. I mean, when we did it, I didn't make it planning on putting it on the internet. I just did it for funsies.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea about putting it on the internet when YouTube and Vimeo and Dailymotion all became a thing, and our Juggernaut was getting such good reaction just from our circle that I said, let me put it out there and see what happens.
Because like the catch with those is like when you're dealing with something like Numa Numa or Chocolate Rain, those sort of incidents, like those were moments. They were just kind of like weird oddities that like people were amused by. And really, with the Juggernaut bitch, it's sketch comedy. At its heart, it's just a freaking wild and crazy bit.
Right. Yeah.
Because, you know, when you're dealing like memes, I'm like, no, the people who came up with this stuff, these are funny guys. These are actual like comedians with comedic chops. But because of the time and place, I don't think it got treated like a piece of comedy. I think it got treated like an accident, which it was and it wasn't, if you kind of follow my drifts. When it comes to rap or like rap lyrics, if somebody freestyles something, it's still considered like they wrote it, you know? Yeah. Like that's still their verse, that's still their bars. And with you guys, it was freestyled, right? Like everyone, you just were just coming up with that on the spot.
Yeah, pretty much. It still is improv, but now it's more, you know, direction. Yeah, I direct them in the way like, hey, I want you to kind of say this or that. But the real magic is if you get two people to just feed off of each other.
Yeah. You know, you're conducting when you're saying that stuff and you're bringing in the right personalities and you're finding the right moments to kind of riff on.
You gotta get a band name now, the way you bring this out. You're going on tour.
Remember we did Stale Manure when we played Guitar Hero?
You're freaky with it. You're freaky with it.
Where did you guys want to become professional entertainers when you were making the Juggernaut? Was there ever like the goal of like, we're going to make it? Or was this always just like, hey, this feels like it's something fun. Let's just do it because it's fun.
It was fun. Yeah. At that time period, I was like, oh, this is going to lead to something. But then, you know, you just keep growing up. There was a time period when I was trying to be like what YouTube wanted you to be, you know, weekly, to be, you know, a partner. You got to do a weekly hard show and blah, blah. It's like, you know.
I think you need a clone in order to do this.
I give props to these freaking streamers and influencers and YouTubers and whatever you want to call them.
3 videos a day? What?
Just
do you sleep?
All the time. Like I get exhausted. I like Robert Rodriguez and like a Hollywood production. Like I just do it when I do it, you know? I do it when I do it. And I stream like crazy though. I love it. Yeah, you know, now it's just when it stopped being fun, it wasn't fun.
We're very similar in the sense that we both stumbled into our niches. As I will say, multiple who made the Juggernaut work. It is the most insanely perfect clip for a dub. That episode is so fucking weird and perfect. It's just like,
that's the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah, no, you were just like pulling up random stuff to watch, and then over your shoulder you start playing the Dark Phoenix clip. All the Juggernaut pops up on screen, and Randy, you just blurt out.
Yeah, Juggernaut. That's how I started.
I can't believe you just
said it. I'm kind of thinking Gladiator showed up out of nowhere. What band she was there?
It is
money for it. He was coming. You're right.
No, Eric the Red really did pay them to get Lilandra from Charles Xavier.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You didn't know what the hell. So it starts off when the opening scene, it's, you know, you as the Juggernaut and you, Xavier, as Charles Xavier.
Rightfully casted, right?
Yeah, I'm like, did that ever blow your mind when you were like, wait a second?
No, because I gravitated to Charles Xavier having my name and everything. I thought it was cool, you know? So I'm like, I'm gonna voice him.
And then the pimp wizard shows up right after that. Some dude, it is the most wild scenario. Some dude with a freaking pimp cane comes out of the window. The story that I feel is concocted is the story of every pro wrestling match, which is just,
It did like wow, like this is one big wrestling.
It is
storyline. I didn't even know that.
It's like the Royal Rumble. Like you just have like one big dude show up, and then he's like acting like he's shit. Then a bunch of weird, crazy dudes start showing up. He starts kicking everything. Yeah, it's that. And then at the end, he gets thrown over the ring. Like literally.
Yeah. This is like Brock Lesnar came in and just cleared house.
The other thing that I think is important, which is why I think it needs to be remembered as a comedy bit and not a meme, is you guys were coming up with unfucking believable lines. Like the lines from that bit are so goddamn iconic. Like people I know that do internet stuff remember that, but it's back to back to back.
Me, I'm the Juggernaut. I'm gonna kill him and I'm gonna rape him. I'm gonna eat his costume. Jugs got you. Yeah! Like, oh, it's time, baby. You see my motherfucking spaceship? This is a Dodge.
Of just stuff that you guys come up like, I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. I'm gonna beat you with your own pimp is such a perfect, like badass, ridiculous. Like, and the weird thing with Juggernaut too is like, in terms of premises for a sequel, the idea being like, yeah, some shrimp guy finds some tablet and steals the Juggernaut's powers, and that is what the plot of the sequel's supposed to be.
It was also a statement.
Oh, that's true. People were trying to jack the Juggernaut's. People were trying to jack the Juggernaut swag.
Yeah. So that was me. It was like videos because there was other people doing. There was other people doing Juggernaut video.
So there's bootleg Juggernauts.
Yeah, like that episode. That episode was dubbed by other people, and it was horrendous.
And you're just like, stand back, let the masters come in.
Yeah, so I came in, I was like, all right, here it goes. I'm gonna be this fucking Rick Moranis Juggernaut wannabe, and I'm gonna do it horribly, making fun of all these people who try to do the Juggernaut.
You know, I don't pay to rent this motherfucker piece of shit furniture from IKEA. Harlem furniture up in his ass. Who was talking to motherfucker here? Let me breathe. Take off my helmet. Go get me something to drink. Bitch ass bitch. Don't you know I'm the Juggernaut, bitch? Yeah, I'm having fun saying that shit tonight. Let's see what's to eat. Tuna casserole. I don't need that shit.
That's like you guys are from the hood. This was just you guys just being like, yeah, this is what we think is funny. Let's frickin' go.
Yeah, I joke about how I think I told you, like, you know, everybody makes a book. I gotta make a book where it's just like all these Juggernaut facts. Because the lore that this guy created for this guy.
Oh my God, there's lore. There's Jug lore.
Yeah, everything he says technically is a lore. Like what, J4, you said your father was a French lion tamer. For some reason, you stopped the assassination of Ted DiBiase.
I was ruining my orgy I was about to have with Sigourney Weaver, I think.
Yes.
Unknown Juggernaut lore facts that people would be shocked to find out.
His blood type is O.
I feel like your beard, Xavier, has begun to resemble the Pimp Wizard's beard more. I'm like looking at them, looking at posts of Xavier.
Yep, all I need is a cane, man.
All I need is a cane.
I posted character and then I became the character. And every day I gotta comb my beard.
See, that's what you're talking about when we're talking about immersing yourself in the character.
I'm a method actor. It just took me a long
time. You know, it's pro wrestling. It's a persona. It's just a character that you're throwing on.
Andy Kaufman with it. He went all the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to only be referred to as Pit K. Padrino, which, by the way, we didn't even come up with that name. He was just who he was. We didn't give him a name. It was the internet that called Eric Ketchup, called Black Tom, Pimp King Padrino. We didn't give them the names. It was just the internet called them that. And that's what, I mean, we liked it. So that's officially their names.
And you know, you're the voice of Leandra. You're doing the Shi'ar. And like, even though there are jokes, the Juggernaut gets his ass kicked. Like, you're not endorsing any of this. This is just freestyling what would be the most outrageous things for them to say. And it's like, I don't think there's a single person who would ever be offended by it. It was just really dang funny.
I heard around that time period there was some, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, it always brings me back to those girls in college who interviewed us for the magazine, and we asked them like, why did you like it? And
they found everything funny.
Yeah, it's like we see that you're making fun of the source and the material and how it looks.
Count the money already before Juggernaut's ass.
Oh, it's the Juggernaut, bitch, and I got a bitch with me. Yes, we're gonna have a
I think you gotta scream whenever you come into the room. Look,
I'm the goddamn Juggernaut. You see how tight my outfit is? I have to. That's the only way I can breathe.
So you guys record a whole bunch of dubs. February comes around, you had your first channel, NAZTRADAMIX, which I assume influenced by Nostradamus.
It was influenced by NAZTRADAMIX, like Nas.
Yes.
Nostradamus, his
like
album.
Like Nas. So it was after the Nas album.
Yeah. It was influenced by that because my brother really helped out a lot.
You can tell by the way that I'm from a very wealthy suburb of Massachusetts. So in case that hasn't come across, I want to make that very, very clear. That is where all of this.
I mean, is Nas not a philosopher? If you think about it, he's a lyrical philosopher. You know, I grew up on that kind of hip hop like that, and then my brother came up with NAZTRADAMUS, and then I just flipped it into NAZTRADAMIX.
Do you remember your first upload onto that channel? Was it Jug?
It definitely had to have been Jug. I don't think I put anything else up before that. I think I literally made the account that day and put that video up there just to see what happens.
Was there a reason you picked the Juggernaut first?
It was the best one we did. It was, I mean, technically, yes, it is. I mean, I did something before with someone else, but this was the first one. And like I said, it was taken so well by our friends and family that I just thought, well, why don't I put it? Because, you know, it was like, oh, people can see it on the internet. I could just put it out there and see what it's like. So
see some feedback.
Yeah, I put it out there and just to see if anybody would see it. If anything, I could always share it through the internet.
And how quickly did the spread happen?
Too quickly, like a virus, yo.
Yeah.
It was like near instantaneous, like within days, moments.
Like faster than COVID. That's how fast it was.
And this was back in the old days when the way things went viral was word of mouth. It was email. There wasn't an algorithm yet. It was just people being like, and I think it's safe to say, you guys posted the funniest video on the internet of that time. Like when you made that is, you know, funniest video on the internet means funniest video on the world.
It's funny you say that because I remember walking down the street and a friend of mine was in the car. Where he's like, hey, I was like, what the fuck? All right, let me go ahead and walk in this store for some other.
I was amazed because it was being shared everywhere. A whole bunch of other sites sharing it too. And I was like, I told him, dude, this thing's just getting views like crazy. And it's
like,
here and it's there. And I forgot what it was. I think it was board.com or something like that I used to go to all the time. And it was even on there. And I was like, what? My video made it on here? You talk about wrestling, like our video impacted wrestling. We got wrestlers quoting the Juggernaut.
Oh, fuck yeah.
There was a wrestler recently, Jordan Grace.
I know that because I've already beaten you. And I've beaten your boyfriend. As a matter of fact, I've even beaten your boyfriend's wife. And you know what? I am more than happy to do that again. Because I'm the Juggernaut.
Don't you dare call her that!
I wasn't talking to her.
And then there's this other wrestler called Brian Cage who calls himself the Juggernaut that's actually a fan of the Juggernaut. And then
hold on, what?
TNA, that's TNA.
Oh, shit.
And Brian Cage is AEW right now. And he said that he's a fan of the Juggernaut. And then I told him, like, you know, I hit him up on Twitter and he was like, oh man, I'm a big fan of you guys. I met Ethan Page and I told him I'm the guy who created the Juggernaut. And then he marked out. He was fanboying over me. And I'm like, what? You know, like, you're a wrestler.
I'm me.
It's the meme that won't die. It just keeps coming up everywhere in games and wrestling and comics and movies. And
when did you realize that what was happening was not freaking normal?
I didn't get no moments like he did, but I think when attention was really coming our way from like other sources, the whole like X-Men thingy.
Yeah.
You know, X3.
Yeah. Okay, let's freaking talk about this. Were you guys even thinking about X3 at all when you were making your fan base? So it is a total fucking coincidence that the Juggernaut is going to make his on-screen Marvel debut, like his debut, right as a motherfucker, right when all of a sudden everyone on the internet's getting hyped on the Juggernaut, and all of a sudden it's like, dude, we need to catch in on this Juggernaut hype that you guys created.
Mm-hmm.
when did you guys first hear whispers about anything to do with X3 at all?
I'm always in the know when it comes to movie making. I don't know if I remember if there was gonna be a Juggernaut in the movie, or if around that time I even knew what X-Men 3 was happening. Because X-Men 3 came out in 2006, right? Yeah, it was that year. So
yeah, it is 3 months from when you guys posted your video to when that movie came out in theaters. The short span of time that this all happened is madness.
Like he went back and added that thing. Like it wasn't part of it. Like he did a reshoot of it. He says it in the commentary. Like,
yeah.
I really saw this video. I liked it. I thought it was funny. These guys were funny. Let me put it. I want to like reshoot it and have them say it in the movie. I
went to see the movie, right?
We saw the movie, but I knew before it. I think I heard on the news.
There you go. Yeah. News.
So the news comes on, and they're like, they're going to say the line in the movie.
But you know, that's when
like
MTV approached me and talked to me, and some other people, and I was part of all these interviews about, you know, the snakes on the plane and
Snakes on a Plane? Well, that catchy title is really taking off on the web, and soon it's going to be coming to a theater near you. Here's Brooke Anderson.
The World Wide Web. It's called Snakes on a Plane, and legions of fans have been bitten by its campy appeal.
There are snakes on the plane, and they're biting, and they're scaring people.
The online phenomenon was sparked by a blog created by Josh Friedman that featured a made-up line of dialogue for Sam Jackson.
There are mother snakes on the plane.
Before long, Snakeaholics demanded it be included in the film. When New Line assembled the cast for additional shoots, the expletive-laden line was added.
This is one of the first times that a studio has gone in to add scenes because of a groundswell of fans clamoring for certain things to be in this movie.
The first time you see it in a theater, what did you guys think? Because when it came out, there were cheers. I think one of my favorite comments that I heard people say is, people watched that movie. The second Juggernaut said the line, there were cheers, and then everybody left.
Where's everybody going? The symphony she's just started.
So, we already heard. The rest is just filler.
You don't hear anything from Marvel or Brett Ratner or anything in any official capacity. Like, nobody ever officially reached out to you.
People brought to my attention that Brett Ratner mentioned us in the commentary, and then somehow got his information, and then I reached out to him. I think he reached back out to me, but then when I tried to reach out to him again, I got no word because he was too busy making Rush Hour 3, I think.
Vinnie Jones.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
Do you guys like how Vinnie Jones dropped the line?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we have nothing against Vinnie Jones.
Because he also seemed to get screwed over in the whole Juggernaut.
Yeah. Like the Juggernaut could have been better represented. When you see Deadpool 2 and you see that Juggernaut.
Oh my God! Juggernaut! I thought that was you! I should have worn my white pants.
Man, I wish it was that Juggernaut saying our line. I wish so much.
I am shocked that Ryan Reynolds never reached out to you guys. Like, you guys are doing everything but the Juggernaut.
Mm-hmm. Regardless, I love that Juggernaut. And that's why I decided that we should dub that Juggernaut, and we did that. In
J4.
I hope you're fucking ready to die, Ryan Reynolds.
That is such a Juggernaut thing to say.
So do you remember how many views you were at peak Juggernaut fever?
I know we were in the million.
Yeah, definitely.
I know we were in the million. I don't remember exactly how many, but we were getting a lot of views back. And I never heard about it again. I think that was before I started getting attacked by Viacom and all that shit.
Viacom says it's losing a fortune from copyright infringements by the video sharing site YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google, so Viacom is suing Google for not protecting copyrighted material.
On March 13th, 2007, Viacom International Inc. filed a lawsuit against YouTube seeking damages for a site-wide case of copyright infringement. The price? $1 billion.
Charges and countercharges in Viacom's billion-dollar copyright infringement lawsuit. Google, which owns the video sharing website, says Viacom secretly uploaded clips to YouTube and then complained about copyright violations.
Now, these weren't official clips on an official Viacom-endorsed YouTube channel. These videos were deliberately disguised as unauthorized leaks by no-name users, attempting to emulate the authentic YouTube experience. Sometimes they would demand that YouTube remove a stolen clip, only to realize that it was one of their own authorized fake stolen clips, and then request that YouTube reinstate the clip.
Apparently, when Viacom is not killing the unborn and clubbing baby seals, they just want to get to know us a little more.
Subsequent legal battle would churn on for years, but the consequences of the lawsuit became known almost immediately. YouTube quickly scrambled to implement their Content ID system. This system is still around on YouTube today, and it allows media companies to register their copyrighted material on a database that gets used to check and claim new uploads for copyright infringement. Of course, when Content ID first debuted, it went haywire with taking down videos and terminating YouTube channels.
We're going through 2006. How many videos did you release after Juggernaut? Like between I will call it the snap. In honor of Avengers. How long between X3 and the snap? Like how many videos were uploaded to NAZTRADAMIX?
Outside of just the dubs, there were a lot of vlogs. That's when people started getting like real close with us. You know, we showed our faces, we hanged out with them.
You guys are becoming an operation right now. We're uploading vlogs, we're uploading dubs, we're gathering
Sketches.
some sketches. When did the trouble start happening?
They started happening. It was crazy because they were attacking my AMVs for the Avatar show, the Last Airbender show. That was the first thing that they were going at, and it was just little by little started removing that until once, I don't even know if they took out the Juggernaut or at that point it was just like, it just took all of us out. But the more traction that X3 and the line made, the more attention got to us.
Oh no.
It's crazy. It's like everybody talking about it. There's these guys over here, their line got added to the movie and took them out.
Is that right?
Which is so... When the takedowns start happening, and it's Viacom that's just purging freaking YouTube, because in their defense, there was a huge piracy problem on YouTube, and that's why YouTube was awesome, was because there was so much of it that was just illegal upload. Like very clearly, this is not legal and should not be up here, which is horrible because the Juggernaut got thrown out with the bathwater.
The thing that pisses me off is that it took it for us, but yet it's still up there for other people that are still getting views like crazy.
So all the freebooters and re-uploaders are getting, oh, that's fucked. Holy.
I guess they wanted to make an example out of us. It's funny because at the end of that year, I was getting tired of the dubs because I knew that we were better than that and we could do sketches, but everybody just wanted dubs. And I was like, but you know, there's this other stuff I want to do, like short videos and all of that stuff. So when they erased NAZTRADAMIX, it was like, all right, here it is. We're starting from scratch. I'm gonna make My Way Entertainment and we're gonna work on just other stuff that won't get attacked.
Do you remember how many views on average you were getting near the end?
We were in the 100,000.
Wow.
The dubs were getting like a whole lot more, but we were in the 100,000s. When I came back and we started doing videos, we never reached those numbers again, man. It was a core people who still followed us and still liked us, and we were good for a good period. And then we dropped dubs, but of course they couldn't be put on YouTube. And
to just be genuine, that's fucking awful. How are you guys feeling when the snap happened? Like, what are you guys going through during all that?
It was like I said, it was a relief, but it did suck because that was a lot of work. You know, that was a lot of work. That was a lot of views. That was a lot of comments. That was a community that
it was literally the snap.
It was a community that I had to start off from scratch. And like you said, to this day, people don't even know we're still around. There's some people that don't know we're around.
You guys, the thing that I find the most unbelievable, you guys have been friends the entire time. There has not, you stuck together. Like, you guys are just friends.
I know it's family and shit, you know.
This is my
if
lover.
it really got out of hand, no.
This is my lover. Right now,
Where's your lover?
No.
It's just like James Franco in the interview when Eminem's like, listen, the Juggernaut's gay. It's like, when the snap happened, did anyone reach out to you guys? Was there anyone who was just like, were there any other YouTubers, members of the community that were just like, hey, are you guys okay? Or is there anything that I can do to help? Because people weren't as connected back then.
Nah. Nobody cared. I mean, our fans cared, but I don't think there was anybody. I mean, there was like, man, there were some great YouTubers. Remember Triple Threat Products? Those were great guys. Yeah, no, there was no one.
Nobody gave us a hand. Hey, y'all all right down there? No?
No. Nobody. But I think about other people because it's not just me. Like, you know, like I said, I stuck with Philip DeFranco is one of the few that made it out of there, you know. And
it's crazy that he's like,
business.
From back then to now, Philly has been like he's really like kind of been the only main YouTuber that's held that kind of position for that long. And I think it speaks to your wrestling fan nature that you guys are students of the game, but you don't play the game, you know?
On the t-shirt, get ready.
That's why I love seeing Punk. I'm seeing Punk in this mother
fighting in the background.
There's one thing you're better at than I am, and that's kissing Vince McMahon's ass.
To ask the question that I'm sure every person who doesn't have a soul will want to know, did you make any money?
Not from them entirely. Any money we made was from support of our fans.
But nothing like direct from the Juggernaut. It was just...
Nah.
And I think
I'm gonna tell the world right now, the most money I made was because I got in a car accident with a taxi driver.
Damn.
That's the most money I ever made.
So if you want to get some money out there, don't get nasty.
Let me do something to the motherfucking Juggernaut.
Let me go right now.
What's wrong with y'all? Mesquite, I'm sorry. I need this motherfucker. Mesquite, I need this. Get the fuck out. Silly motherfucker. I could buy a new suit because I got money.
Yeah, and that was a market that I was trying to reach too, you know, when people started doing like Patreon and we even made a website to have people like support us and just pay monthly subscriptions. I mean, I guess now, this time period, people will be more game for it. I mean, they really support me on Twitch, but man, back then people were pissed off to just be like, I gotta give you like $1 or $2 a month. I'm like, God damn.
And now you got Pokimane being like, hey, have my $14 cookies or whatever weird crap.
That's what pisses me off, man. You got like Belle Delphine selling bathwater and making mad money. And like,
here's the thing.
I gotta
sell bathwater, brother. Go ahead and get in that shower. Right?
Here's the thing.
Balls and fucking teriyaki sauce. Sell that to you.
If you have Juggernaut brand teriyaki ball sauce, that would be that's merch right there. That's merch. And I think one thing they said is interesting is, Xavier, you say you live in fear of Hollywood right now. Because
you see what's going on?
Yes.
But part of my worry, because I want to get exposure to you guys. And I think that, like, especially people now need to know, like, what the hell happened to you, because it wasn't freaking fair. But are you worried that if you guys get exposure, that it's going to lead to a takedown?
I mean, at this point, I don't care. My fear of Hollywood is not the fear of them coming and attacking me down. Like, say my Twitch channel finally gets, you know, noticed and they realize I'm watching movies and shows and all that stuff illegally on there, you know?
Yeah.
So what? Okay, fine. I'll find another way to do it, or I'll do it the way they want to, which is the watch party kind of way of blah, 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 whatever. My only fear is that we do become successful and then we see that ugly, nasty part of Hollywood.
I definitely want to see that.
You know, I want us to have an income coming to us, sure, for something that we love to do, but I definitely don't want someone on our asses making sure we're doing things all the time.
And we really don't want someone on our asses like quiet on the set.
Yes, my Saturday morning streams are like, I'm trying to make that whole like Saturday morning feel, you know, like when you wake up. Yeah. And I wish my dream now will be, hey, throughout the week we make some videos, like we make some shiz news, and then we show it that Saturday morning, you know? We make some content, and then that Saturday morning is when you start seeing these content.
We got to start kidnapping the other members of the group.
Exactly.
We got to do like like Eric the Red did.
Yeah.
That's how we got to do it.
I've come for the Princess Lilandra. You'll see her after I'm paid. Here is your payment.
To ask the ethical question in all of this. So Brett Ratner sees your video. Brett Ratner thinks, this is so funny, I have to put this in the movie. More money than you guys will see in your life is spent to reorganize this and get your line in this movie. And your cartoon starts off with your names, Xavier Nazzaro, Randy Hayes, first thing that you see. Do you think you should have gotten a special thanks in X3?
Yes.
Does that honestly upset you that, like, hey, you didn't actually get any credit for all of this work and all of this stuff?
It's a love-hate kind of thing. I don't want to keep going.
You're not going to hunt him down. Hey, Brett.
Yeah, I'm not going to keep my life and being like, regret. Look, at the end of the day, two best friends made a video, and then that video somehow reached Hollywood and affected a movie. Not many people can say that. And not many people can say that how many years later, 18 years later, that it's still relevant. You know, the Juggernaut is still a thing.
And it's still funny.
Nice.
Thank you.
Now we'll give you something you're used to back in jail. It's called the Mother Russia.
Get out, Jocker!
Wow! I didn't think anybody could do that to Juggernaut.
You guys never got your flowers. I think that, like, yes, you got a shout out, quote unquote. You got canonized. You got confirmed. But like for saying that, what you guys made, I see the creation of your most successful thing. It's a confluence of love of your friends and love of comics, and like that's the kind of stuff that should be celebrated and not literally trampled on and removed. Because it seems to me like, bottom line, you guys got exploited.
Yeah, pretty much. If anything, they could have worked with us. It's crazy because we are so tied to this character and just that whole universe, period. X-Men 97 came out. The only thing everybody was talking about was us. Hey, X-Men 97 is coming.
Y'all ready?
Yeah, you gonna do something? I hope we see the Juggernaut.
Have you been studying your characters?
Yeah.
What?
I just recently
got a graduation to go to next week.
I was recently in a reaction video for the finale of X-Men 97 just because of the videos that we did. Like, we're tied to this stuff. Hell, I'm tied to Power Rangers so much. Any Power Ranger news just goes straight to me, and people like wants my opinion.
Well, I feel like there should have been a world where it's like after the Juggernaut, you guys kept getting like weird cameo parts and everything, or just like random weird voices. That feels like there should be, because like you guys.
Yeah, I always thought that we'll be a great kind of guest at conventions.
Yeah, I'm shocked that you guys haven't been invited more.
There was a time period when we got invited to some locally, and there was the one Rafacon, but you know, it should have been like a constant theme. Who doesn't want a Juggernaut bitch? Who doesn't want to hang out? And when we did the panel, it was cool because it's like this, like you and me, just hanging out. We help people notice stuff. We help them notice Juggernaut, more X-Men stuff.
Yeah.
Power Rangers. We help them notice One Piece.
Oh, that's my.
You know.
You the one who told me to whip it out.
That's what you're doing to my timeshare. How am I going to ever sell this again? Well, I can't believe it. Don't pull that out. For protecting your So go ahead and kill me, motherfucker. Send me to go see Richard Pryor.
I love Richard! Richard broke me out of jail!
Who's your favorite Straw Hat?
Sanji.
I'm a Sanji guy.
Say Zoro, just so we can have a battle. Not only that, I always get lost.
Yeah, we literally play a One Piece game. This motherfucker Zoro and is constantly lost even in the game.
Where y'all at? I'm over here. I'm by the woods.
Bro, everything would make up if they just put us on the show as a character.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Do you want to focus on Twitch or do you want to focus on YouTube? Where do you want to get your audience coming in?
When we stream, and I stream on YouTube, it's just us hanging out. I gotta make sure I don't play a certain music. I gotta make sure I don't show any video. Nothing.
You got a bad battle. What's that? The terms and agreements?
Yeah, because they would just cut the stream off.
Oh shit. That's fucking
Do anything.
God, all of this is so grim. Oh my God. Isn't it weird how the internet is like so much more friggin' oppressive and hellish? And
Judge Dredd is in the internet now. He's riding. He's trying to see what's going on.
But it feels like they just like focus on me because I'd be seeing other people do shit and nothing happens to them. But
nope,
like,
those my way, guys. Come on, Sylvester Stallone, get his ass.
We can't let them get up.
Dredd? Judge? Clever segue! Judge Dredd!
Perfect match for Judge Joseph Dredd.
So lie! The evidence has been falsified! It's impossible! I never broke the law! I am the law!
We have no case!
You gotta believe me!
is there anything you guys want to say to like the diehard Jugheads, the day oneers out there that might be listening that don't know what the heck happened? Do you have any messages for them?
Yeah, we're still around. I'm still very much active, and I get these guys together when I can, and we still love making videos for you guys. All of our dubs are available on mwe4life.com. You can see everything there, and I'm sure there's a lot that you don't even know existed. But a lot of the content and what's going on is on my stream, twitch.tv/NAZTRADAMIX, and that's where the party's at.
Any other closing remarks? Any final questions, comments, or concerns?
Oh man, it was great. We always love talking about it, you know. Yeah. And this one is from someone else who also, you know, had a viral hit. So it's just great hearing
someone else who felt that pain.
Yes.
Whosoever
subscribe to my way, bitch.
Hey Chris, it's been a while. Heard you got hitched, you sly dog. I just wanted you to know, got a message for you. From me and Juggy. We called your fucking Cameo.
Bullshit. I don't believe you. I recognize Johnny Storm as a performance that you hold dear.
Balls and
Juggernaut brand teriyaki ball sauce.
Fuck that shit.
Gotcha, Flame Face.